Hello, it's a beautiful Monday on Off the Press and Plus TV Africa. Good morning to you and welcome to the program. My name is Felicity Ezewuike and Ramadan Kareem to all our Muslim viewers. Thanks again for joining us. I will be looking at some of the papers with that look at the headlines with a public affairs analyst, Tubosun Akeju. Thank you very much.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
I couldn't have done this alone anyway. Let's see. We start with the Punch newspaper. We also have The Nation. We have Vanguard. And then we have This Day newspaper. We'll start with the Punch to see what's going on there. We pay ransoms to bandits daily. Zamfara local government chief tells minister bandits asked 5 villages to pay 20 million naira to avoid attacks. That's residents. You find details of that story on page 2 of the paper. That's it on your screen now. At the very top, you'll see probe CBN over alleged missing 500 billion naira. PDP others tell federal government. And underneath it, the fax box is the 2019 UTME JAM remits 5 billion naira to federal government. Reckless spending has not changed under Buhari. That's the rep speaking. I'm wiser now, says Lagos Governor Ambode. Details of that is on page 12. I'm sure if you're following the drama, you'll understand my giggle. All right, at the very bottom of the paper, you will see some other headlines. There you have it. There's a building being demolished in the Federal Capital Territory. That's a hotel where strippers were arrested, was demolished. You can see the pictures there. And then student films self drinking sniper over UTME results. That's a sad one. You can request to search officers, demand arrest warrant. That's police speaking. Uni Abuja undergraduates to die by hanging for killing brother. Details of that on page 4 and 5. Quite sad headlines this morning. El-Rufai is also on the front page talking about no apologies for my Lagos Godfather views. And on the back page, we have when a nation celebrates its worst side. Azuka Onwuka is talking this morning. What's it on about? You have to go read the paper to find out. Before I bring Tubosun in, I won't forget to highlight this one. TSA has recorded over 30 trillion naira transactions, says AGF. Tubosun, which of these headlines for you is the shocker?
So many of them, both on the good and the bad side. If we start with the security situation in Zamfara. And it again goes to show that we're about to build systems and institutions around insecurity in Nigeria. Because if it has now become almost a norm, I mean, from what this headline is screaming, that, you know, communities are now paying to secure themselves, to be safe from bandits who are, you know, fomenting trouble. Only last week, you know, a lecturer was, you know, kidnapped and almost within 24 hours had to pay. He said he had to pay 5 million naira as a ransom. This security issue is starting to turn to like a proper business. Like I would call it, it's now organized crime. And I think that.
But isn't it shameful that a local government chairman would be saying that they're paying this amount to? Is it that they've gotten to the extent where they no longer have any other option?
I think that's what's happening. I think the bigger shame is the fact that we're in a country where people are paying taxes, where we have security agencies, and a local government chairman is saying he's paying. So let's even forget the local government chairman being holding an elective position. What about the man who had to pay for himself to be released from, you know, from kidnappers, and in 24 hours they got the money and they let him go? It is now business for these criminals, and I think that I'm sorry. I mean, if there are no results, perhaps you can't take anything anybody is doing. The security agencies are slacking. That's just it. Because if the bandits are now going to, there was a time in this country that thieves used to write. They would write letters to streets and tell them that they're going to come. So are we back to, you know, those dark days of you know, ransoms before they even attack? You know, it's really bad.
Yeah, which other headline quickly before we go to
I think so that we're not prophets of doom. The TSA story is a very interesting one. one that I also have interest in because it's in the course of work, something I've had to work on. It's a fantastic concept that one of the few things that the administration of President Buhari has been able to achieve in the last 4 years is the political will to fully implement the TSA, which is a concept of, public funds management, to ensure that we can have a clear view of the monies that are coming to government. And if it's, imagine how easy it will have been to mismanage 30 trillion, because this money is not sitting anywhere, but it's a turnover. So if one of the ways, you check the value of an organization or a business is to look at its turnover. So if you have a country, you're saying, oh, in the past, within a period of time, this is how much we've received and has gone out and all of that. It goes to show you, it builds a bit of trust. It allows you to be able to measure, what that body can do. And I think is a very, very good one. And they are even now moving ahead to say that, other funds that are not captured under the TSA presently, they want to develop something to ensure that they can capture, like funds coming from international agencies and all of that. So I think it's a very fantastic story. And that's what has even made another headline that you have there a bit possible. That's the UTME. One of the reasons why JAM can now remit is because the money are not, you're not collecting the money in trickles. You want to pay for UTME, you have to pay through TSA, and that way someone can go and say, oh, this is the amount that was paid for JAM, and then snake is not swallowing the money anyway.
They're taking us back to the snake era.
Oh, well, but then
snake poison and
someone said that snake, swallowed 36 million or something.
Yeah.
So,
all right, let's go to the Nation newspaper now and take a look at some of the headlines here. CBN, Buhari Senate, AGF get 14 days to defend choice. Court fixes June 3 for hearing. That's the choice of Justice Ibrahim Mohammed as the Chief Justice of Nigeria, CJN. At the very top, we see very somber-looking men there. Tinubu, Aregbesola, Adebule, Sanwo-Olu, others bid Hamzat farewell. That's something for you. At the top of the paper, we have the JAM story recapitulated, and then the controversy of NSITF is recaptured here. It's saying NSITF accounts not audited for 7 years. Details of that is on page 8. If you have been following that story, you might want to go catch up on the latest. Low-key May 29 inauguration for Buhari. That has been trending, actually. A lot of conversation about it. I will be in Egypt with Eagles, says Mikel. A bit of sports for you. Tears of joy as Zainab Abubakar returned from Saudi Arabia. That's the picture of her on the front page. Let's see if a cameraman can just put it up for you. The picture of Zainab and some of her relatives. There you have it. Zainab Middle and some of our relatives yesterday, all smiley faces. We thank God for that little bit of joy, joyful news this morning. We go to the back of the Nation. We will see Kanu, the insolent meets the unthinkable. That's Louis Odion. Bottom line, as it's come with thoughts this morning. Let me come to you. I want to talk to you about the return of this girl. What are the bigger implications for the return of Zainab? What does it say generally? Well,
maybe not completely new, but I've always known that in Nigeria, when we want to get things done, we get it done. This is not the first time that we would have citizens of Nigeria, having issues in foreign land. And sometimes, they've been left alone. But particularly, I think, again, the power of social media came to play here. She got the right attention, and they were able to, bring her back. And in a situation where she was probably accused, wrongly for, breaking the law in another country and all of that. So it goes to show that sometimes, again, as I've always said, I'm an advocate for active citizenship. It goes back to show that if, sometimes we pay attention to some of these things, we can put pressure on the people that are in public office to do the things they are supposed to do. And we'll get results. So, I mean, I give this to the Nigerian people, not even to the Nigerian government. They push that.
We'll expect to see such speedy reaction to other insecurity, like kidnap of people, even in the local. And there are lots of innocent people from stories that we hear that, you know, don't get so lucky.
Well, like I said again, thank God for her, she got lucky, but it's also meant to encourage the Nigerian people to say that we should come to the aid of people, because it's one person today, it could be you tomorrow. You know, if there's something that, if there's an injustice or if there's an issue that you think that's not gone right, we should have, you know, that level of empathy to be able to speak up for other people and be able to get them what they need. So,
which other headline here?
The low-key
inauguration.
So far, when I saw low-key, I was like, okay, front page of newspaper. Anyways, May 29, what's really happening, there's not so much fuss about this, is that the democracy day has been moved to June 12th.
Yeah.
So the president or the presidency has said, you know what, May 29, we'll take the oath of office, which is, you know, the legal part of the inauguration. Every other part of that inauguration is jamboree. The legal part, the one that is the Constitution, you know, mandates, is the oath of office. You have to take the oath of office on May 29. And I think it's also a way to ensure that we are not just, you know, wasting our days, because now, I mean, I still don't know if there's going to be a public holiday on May 29. Or if there's not, so yeah, it's because those are the
we certainly love holidays in this country.
We love, but we also know that, you know, it comes at a price. All those holidays that we keep having every now and then, it comes at a price. So May 29, and then even the old celebration. So you have a May 29 inauguration and the jamboree, and then on June 12, what's going to happen? I think it was also an attempt by the government to ensure that June 12 is not just a day, but to say, oh, June 12 is our democracy day, and then we have to build something around it.
All right, let's move further to the Vanguard newspaper. Godfatherism, El-Rufai, Lagos APC clash over Tinubu. It has two riders. I owe no one apologies. That's El-Rufai is talking tough. Talk is cheap. Asiwaju remains our leader. Lagos APC response. The story is on page 9 of the paper, and you also see the NSITF board issue captured on the front page with this headline: FG shuns Kokori, Labour inaugurates NSITF board. Details on page 5 of that paper. Let's go to the top before we go to the bottom now. We see the actress, a very popular face. She's saying why I can never conceive a child. The Tuesday interview is also there. New Emirates, we have shortage of doctors creating crisis in Lagos Hospital. That's a guild. Unilag crisis, Rep someone Babalakin, VC registrar, others. We go to the bottom of the paper now. We have assistant birthday. There you have it. Hundreds march for Leah Sharibu in UK, US. Shoinka pays tribute. And then you see protest, members of the Nigeria Labour Congress protesting at the Federal Secretariat Abuja over the Minister of Labour face-off with the NLC. More pictorial reportage there for you. The President is seen congratulating CBN Governor and their partnership meeting also. Mr. and Mrs. Cartoon, you know how we love that cartoon, right? You might want to go take a look at it. If we have time, we'll also read it out for you. Okay, at the back of the Vanguard is sports. We'll hold on to that for a bit. Let's just get Tubosun to talk about the front page.
Okay, the first one is the screamer there, El-Rufai, and I mean, there are two sides to the story, really. First, undoubtedly, Asiwaju is a leader in the APC. There are no doubts about that. The issue of Godfatherism, I think that nothing lasts forever. So it's the fact. If you look at somewhere like Oyo State, Ibadan particularly, there was a time when you had a major godfather in Ibadan, Ade Dibu. And you know, he controls almost everything political in that city. Yeah, he passed, and now you have, you know, a city where the last election was very, very, very unpredictable. You know, and so it goes on to show the more our democracy develops, you know, the more the power of godfatherism is going to be diluted is a statement of fact.
I just want to ask you one funny question. Is there a distinction between a leader in the political contest in Nigeria and godfather?
There's a thin line.
There's a thin line.
Yeah, there are bloodlines. And the reason being that because of how our parties are structured, because of how the political parties are structured, and I'd like to draw a parallel. When you look, if you start up an organization, a small organization, you'd identify things like this. The owner of the business is usually, holding a lot of responsibilities. You have a small team and that's going on. So when you bring that to a political party, that's when you start a political party. One person is absolutely very passionate about it, is trying to do a lot of things to achieve results. So after a while, the team you now have a bigger team, there's dilution of power and all of that. But that person is used to, controlling a lot of things and doing a lot of things. So it's going to be there for a while. So El-Rufai made a very good case, saying while I was speaking to pressmen that you have 6 million registered voters in Lagos, right? At the last election, only 1 million voted. If you get an opportunity to get the remaining 5 million, or even half of them, you can completely change the landscape, and then that kind of... So in actual fact, within and outside the parties, the forces are there to dilute. So I think it's a natural phenomenon that after a while, people get more politically exposed, we become more active citizenship. The godfatherism factor is going to, change. For me, the jury is out on, the method of governance over the years. Because if you look at somewhere like Singapore, one man took it upon himself and, kind of changed what I'll call a mosquito-infested place to what has now become a model for global economy. So sometimes the issue of God, but absolute power also corrupts absolutely. Do you understand? So the society must find a way to always strike a balance, from this thing. One of the reasons Lagos is the most developed state in Nigeria is because at a point in time, there's someone that drew like a master plan, and then for the period of about 16 years, there was a bit of follow-up on that master plan because, development 4 years sometimes is not enough to able to do a lot of things when it comes to infrastructure development and all of that. So the pros and cons are there, but the fact remains godfatherism is not going to be there forever. So for me, it's a bit of a non-issue.
We shall see about that. Nigeria is certainly a progressive society.
Yeah.
All right, we move to this day newspaper now. We have a screamer. Loyalty, humility, and integrity pay. There's a picture of the president and CBN governor. Why is that caption? Just read up on what this story is. You find details probably on page 6 of the paper. Okay. We have elections hacking are now real in Africa, says Mahama. Shell targets 2,400 megawatts of electricity from new gas projects. You find details on page 8. And then the screamer itself. Presidency moves second term inauguration ceremonies to June 12th. Commemorates New Democracy Day. Buhari takes oath of office on May 29. That's another one for you. We also have PDP workers ask Bokachua to recuse herself. That's been in the news for a while. And on the back page, we have Tuesdays with Ruben Abati, the next Buhari cabinet. Some suggestions. Your quick thoughts before we wrap up this segment?
The first one will be the issue of fintech and deposits.
Despite fintechs in caution, banks rake in 25 trillion naira deposits.
Yeah, I think we need to understand the policymakers, especially, will need to understand the market properly to be able to make policies and rules for the market. I don't think that in the immediate period that the fintechs will have any impact on bank deposit. The fintechs are like middlemen. They are like pipelines. They make financial transactions easier. They do not, more often than not, hold on to those financial. The banks remain the place where the money is sitting. What the fintech, what they're trying to do is to make financial inclusion, financial transaction a lot easier. So they are not going to, in the immediate term, disruptive innovation always come. In the immediate time, they're not going to impact on the deposit. And because I feel strongly that thought processes like this impact on one of the policies of the CBN last year for the PSB, which increased, for me, the pro is that it has increased the barrier of entry into fintech, because it's an environment that is becoming very crowded. You don't want issues there. You're dealing with people's money and all of that. But on the other side, it can impact on innovation, because when you increase the barrier of entry for somewhere, a young man that's come up with a great idea is unable to even enter that space to bring innovation into that space, because the barrier of entry is, and nobody's going to give you 3 billion or 1 billion for registration or license, to test your idea. You have to prove the idea before you say. And this is a country where financial inclusion is still very, very low. So I think that we need to understand. So if the threat is, you think that the fintechs are going to affect banks, for in the immediate period, no, they're not going to affect the bank, per se. And I think that it really has, there has to be a lot of encouragement in that space, so that we are able to get as much innovation as possible to increase financial inclusion, because there's a lot of benefit. There's a lot of funds that global agencies are dedicating to financial inclusion because of its benefits.
Before I let you go, let's ask you your thoughts on this election hacking. Mahama is saying that it's becoming real in Africa.
It's not becoming real. It is real. It is real. We are more and more becoming very dependent on technology. So when you go to vote, you have a card reader. Your card reader is connected, to the internet and all of that. And so because of that, and cybersecurity, again, going back to the financial space, financial risk used to be the most important thing. Now, financial risk and cybersecurity risk are almost apart. They are very important. So elections, even the almighty USA is accusing Russia of hacking its electoral process. So it's very, very real. We're living in a global community, so we're not completely insulated from the risk that exists globally.
Thank you very much, Tubosun, for coming on the program.
Thank you for having me.
Right. We'll take a very short break, and when we come back, we'll be talking sports. Stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. It's still Off the Press on Plus TV Africa. I have joining me now in-house sports analyst, Samson Oloyede. Thank you very much.
Yeah, good morning.
All right, we have complete sports for review, and we're going to take a look at the back of Vanguard as quick as we can. Complete Sports has Ndidi, his best EPL top tracker. Again, Leicester midfielders, best Eagles star in England. That's a lot of accolades coming in. Hazard, I have made my decision. Chelsea star to seal 100 million euros move to Madrid after Europa League final. We also have... Ibogun unveils squad for FIFA Under-20 World Cup. There's some other headlines here. Company title, the hardest and most satisfying. Madrid is also on the front, increases Pogba offer to £121 million. And on the back of the page of the paper, as usual, is transfer news. We'll come to Samson to tell us which is the biggest first before we go there.
Well, let's start quickly with the under-20, squad known as the Flying Eagles. The coach Paul Agbogun released the list of players who would represent us at the under-20 World Cup, and it must be said that the big news about the list is the fact that Samuel Chukwueze of Villarreal was omitted from that list. So it means Chukwueze will be going to the African Cup of Nations, and that's what most Nigerians have clamored for, following his impressive performances for his Spanish outfit over the course of the season. So it's a good one. We have good legs in that squad that can definitely make us proud at the World Cup holding later in Brazil. So I think it's a good one right there, and preparations are already in top gear to ensure that the lads get the best of preparations. In the best EPL tackler, again, I think it's good that we have a player who can take over from Onazi in that defensive midfield role, and Wilfred Ndidi has shown that all through the course of the season with Leicester City. And overall, you get the feeling that he's at the top of the list because N'Golo Kante, who's been the best player in that position for over 2-3 years, was taken off that position by Mauricio Sarri at Chelsea. But that's not to take anything away from our own Ndidi, who has done so well. He's definitely going to make the squad for the African Cup of Nations, and we hope he keeps up with the performances. As regards Hazard, he said he's made his decision, and Chelsea is aware. Reports have it that they've agreed a 112 million euros deal with Real Madrid to sell him, and it's not so good for Chelsea considering the ban they have, which is currently still standing with FIFA, though they would appeal with the Court of Arbitration for Sports. If they are unable to recruit this summer and the next transfer window at the winter, it means they will go through the whole season without finding a replacement for Eden Hazard. That's not good enough. I pretty much understand Christian Pulisic, who was signed in January, will return to the club from Dortmund, but Pulisic is nowhere close to Hazard, so that's a minus for them. You mentioned Vincent Kompany. The EPL title this season was really compelling and competitive, and I think City would really feel good that they were able to outlast, a very strong rival in terms of Liverpool. It was just a point, but a point makes all the difference. We saw in 2011 when it was goal difference that made the difference for City, edging United to a title. So overall, I think it sets the stage, for what next season holds in terms of the English Premier League. It's still going to be City and Liverpool, I beg your pardon, but the question is, who comes close to them in terms of the other four? Tottenham Hotspur, there's Manchester United, there's Chelsea and Arsenal. Who comes close? Because right now, the gulf between the top two, Liverpool and City, with the rest of the squad, the teams in the Premier League, is just too wide. It needs to be narrowed down as quickly as possible.
All right, let's see some of the transfer stories here. If you can just touch on one or two before we move to
Okay, well, Griezmann would not go away. The Griezmann story won't go away. Barcelona rejected the offer last year. Barcelona are coming again, with another offer. There's Real Madrid in the mix as well, who are ready to, splash the cash to get a decent striker to replace Benzema and, probably show up Ronaldo's absence.
Quick thought on the back page of the Vanguard. Norwich open talks with Mikel. We also have Real Madrid to officially announce signing of Hazard. Quickly. Yeah, we mentioned Hazard. We're expecting that, at the end of the Europa League final. For John Mikel, his stint with Middlesbrough was a short one, just 6 months. How well has he fared, to be able to get Norwich's attention? Norwich City will be playing in the Premier League, so it will be good to see Mikel back in the Premier League. But the question is, at his age and considering the squad that Norwich City have, will he get playing time? That's the big question. As always, thank you very much, Samson, for coming on the program. Thank you. And of course, thank you for watching. I hope some of these headlines will prompt you to go see your vendor and pick up a copy of the papers. My name is Felicity Ezewuike. Do take care of yourself today.